Galen, I'm the Rhinestone Queen. Today's video is the second in a series of how to make a custom dance costume with cutouts. The first video showed you how to put the cutouts in the leotard. This video is going to show you how to make a pattern for the skirt and the swag. The next video will show you how to attach the skirt to the costume. And then there'll be forthcoming videos that show you how to do the appliques and how to do the rhinestones. So those are all coming in the future. But for today, let's get started making that pattern for the skirt. Okay, we're going to make the skirt pattern. And you've seen me use this paper before. This is, it comes in this big roll like this. It's the paper they use on the doctor's room exam tables. I buy it from Amazon. It's real thin. You can see through it. See how you can see my hand through it? It's great for tracing. It's wonderful. Love this paper, and it's cheap. So, good solution. All right, so I've got a piece of paper cut out for my skirt pattern. I'm going to go ahead and fold it in half because I'm making the skirt in the picture right there. So it's going to go 3/4 of the way around the body. What you've got to think about is what are the hip measurements of your dancer. This particular girl, I'm going to say her hip measurements are 37. I'm making a spec pattern. The largest hip measurement on a small, which is the size this one is 37. So I'm going to go with a 37 hip measurement. You want to make sure that you use that measurement because I'm using non-stretch material for my skirting. This is just some white chiffon. And I want to make sure that it goes over the largest part of the girl's body. And of course, for any woman, the largest part is, your hips to get something up, that you're going to step in. So I want to make sure that it goes over the largest part of her body. So we're going to go with a 37-inch waist. If I wanted to go from hip bone to hip bone, if you've got a 37-inch hip, and I figure I want it to go 4 inches onto the hip bone, that's half of 37. Oh my gosh, I'm doing math. Half of 37 is 18.5. If I did my math right, let's call it 19 just to make it easy. I'm going to add, to do one side, 4 inches. So that's 23 inches. Well, I actually need to add 8 inches. So I need 23 and 8, 27. So it's going to be 27 inches total. You notice I folded my paper in half, right? I'm making a full skirt pattern, but I'm going to make it in half so that when we open it up, it's exactly the same on both sides because, we want symmetry in this particular design. So I'm going to start out by just drawing a curve at the top because our bodies are curved, so we need a curve. So I'm just going to draw a curve. Side seam to side seam on a 37-inch hip. Let's make it a 38-inch hip just to make easier math. And too big is never a problem because we're going to pull it on the... so that'll be 19 inches is half of the circumference. A 19-inch skirt would go from side seam to side seam, but we want this to wrap around the front about 4 inches on either side to hit the hip bone. So I need to say it's got the skirt has to be 19 plus 8 is 27. So if I want my skirt to be 27 inches and I'm making a half a skirt pattern, I've got to divide it by half, and that's 13.5. So I need this curve that I just drew to be a 13.5-inch curve. And I'm going to measure 13.5 inches. I didn't quite make it, so I'm going to just redraw my curve. I'll have to go almost, my piece of paper is not big enough. I'm going to have to get a new piece of paper. There. There's my curve. And I'll clean up my line. That's right at 13.5 inches, so that'll be good. And I just want you to know that I'm making this, and when I put it on the mannequin, I'll probably adjust it a little bit, because that's, for me, that's always the goal, is just get something cut that I can get on the mannequin or get on the child for a fitting, and then I'll be able to adjust. So that's always the goal. So now I know I'm thinking I want a 19-inch skirt in the back. So if this is my back side, I'm just going to get my handy dandy tape measure out and mark 19 inches. Now, if I were doing a full skirt, I would mark 19 all around. So I'm going to do that just so you can see. If you were doing a full skirt, you just follow the curve that you drew up here and mark 19 inches all around. You see where that starts right there? So I'm doing that all around, but I don't want this skirt to do that. I actually want this skirt to graduate and get smaller as it goes around. But you just decide how much skirting you want. I'm going to make it stop at this 13 inches, and I'm going to just draw myself a straight line going across. Get my ruler, handy dandy ruler. I'm going to just draw a straight line. I want it to have some flow, so I'm making the bottom edge pretty big. So that'll be the edge of my skirt. Now, if I want this to graduate, and I want it by the time it gets in the front to be about this long. So that's what? About 8 inches. I'll go 9. Well, no, let's go 8. I want it to be 8 inches. So if it's 8 inches here and it's 19 inches here, I've got to graduate this. And what I find is I want it, when I graduate a skirt, I want the back part to be pretty long for a significant portion. So I'm going to graduate it up, but I'm not going to graduate it up drastically until I get to about a third of the way out. And then I'll get a little more drastic with my curve. You can do this one of two ways. You can either measure everything out all the way along and say, okay, this is 8 inches, so the next little spot I'm going to need to be at 9 inches about here, and I'm going to need to be at 10 inches about here. And you can graduate it out, or you can do what I do sometimes and just eyeball it. I did draw these guide marks for 19 inches. I marked that from up here. So that way I know how far I am from the bottom, but I'll just eyeball it. I'm going to draw it with the pencil, and then I'll come back and do it with the Sharpie so you can see better where it goes. But I'm going to keep going almost straight because I don't want to have a point in the back, right? I want it to gently curve. So I'll keep going almost straight, but you can see where that 19-inch mark is, and my mark is, I'm about an inch above it right here, maybe an inch and a half. And now I'm going to start graduating more drastically. If you want, you also can finish the skirt off, which is really nice. Finish it off with just a curve right there and let it curve to the top, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do. So let me draw that with a Sharpie so you can see the line good. And when I put this on the mannequin to fit, so there's my skirt. Look at that. So now all I got to do is cut it out, and then ta-da, skirt pattern is ready to go. So I'm going to just push that up, and we'll talk about the jabot that's going in the little, not the jabot, the swag that's going in the front. So to cut a swag, the trick is you just have to angle it on the edges. So I'm just going to cut a length. If I know that my girl has the 37-inch hip, and I want half of that, which, gosh, we figured this out a minute ago, it's 18 and a half. So it's 18 and a half inches will go side to side, but I actually want the swag to go side to side, so I'm going to use that 18-inch measurement to go side to side. And I want it to drape, so I actually want to add in a couple of inches. So I'm going to cut this a little generous, and then when I put it on the mannequin, we'll fit it. So I'm going to cut it, let's go 22 inches. So I'm just going to measure 22 inches from the edge. Handy dandy ruler. And if I want it to drape, I want my drape to be about this big. Let's see, that big is let's say about 8 inches in the front. The rule of thumb on ruching, gathering, all that, you always want to go either 1.5 to 2, or if you want it super full, 2.5 times your, the finished size that you want. So I'm going to go 2 times, so I'll do 16 inches. So I want a 16-inch swag. So I'll put my first mark here, put a mark at 16 inches. And I want this to be 22 inches long, so I'm going to go 24 just to make sure I have enough. So there's 24 inches. So if I'm going 24 inches, I'm going to want this piece to be a little higher because I'm going to do a little bit of a curve. And I just drew back to my beginning point. Now I'm just going to measure 16 inches all the way. Why did that not work? Oh, I'm using the wrong one, sorry. I'm going to just draw from here, from my curve, and do a gentle curve. There we go. I'm going to measure 16 inches from here. There we go. All the way around. And this curve is very gentle. It's not a hard curve at all. Just a real gentle curve. So I'll fill this in. And then just draw a line. And there's my pattern for the swag in the front. Let me trace it out so you can see it better. There we go. And because it's folded in half, when I cut it out, I'm going to have full pattern. So here is what my skirt pattern looks like. And here is what my swag pattern looks like. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you found this video helpful. You know I love to hear from you, so please shoot me your comments, questions, and let me know how things are going. Oh, I'd love to see pictures of your work. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.